Hello, beautiful souls. Victoria Amador here, and today I want to talk about the different planes of existence. But I'm going to give you a little bit of the Tibetan Buddhist planes of existence concepts and how I see them as it relates to the different dimensions, rounds that we play as we go through the awakening process, and that we have to overcome in order for us to free ourselves from these cycles that we come here to break. So I really do believe that we are like light warriors that are coming to break down systems of the history of our planet, our ancestors, and so on. So let's start with samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is basically this continuous, uninterrupted cycle of rebirth without freedom, without control. So there is a lot of dissatisfaction and suffering, right? There are six basic realms in samsara. The realm of hell beings, of hungry ghosts, the demons, the animals, the human beings, the demigods, the gods. And for the sake of this conversation, I want to focus on discussing why those realms are within us. And hopefully you will understand where I'm going with this by the end of this conversation. So how we go to the first 6 layers and then the 7th and the 8th, so that you can understand how we're going to free ourselves from this cycle and why we're here today. If you're listening to this and you really have been doing your healing work, that means you're a freaking warrior of light. You are really doing your part to free yourself and your ancestors from, and the collective, from the karmic cycles that we've been on for thousands of years, since the gods came down and mixed with other beings and created these giants and so on. And this is, I'm not going to get into that, but I want you to understand why we collectively are going through so much in order for us to free ourselves. And in another video, maybe I'll go into why I really believe that this is the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. So the different planes of existence are going to give us huge clues about at what level we're still working on in order for us to free ourselves from the cycles of our families, our ancestors, the collective, the planet, and so on. The first round is known as the hell realm. What would it feel like to be in hell? And I think a lot of people think hell is another place that only is for the evil people. But we all have that realm also within us. I have done videos on this before, but today I want to focus on the lower plane, the lowest of the lowest plane of existence that makes us feel like we could be in hell. I have sessions where trance experiences and meditations where I'm like, wow, I know what it feels to be in hell. And by doing a lot of meditation and reading and going back into meditation and asking questions, I realized, you might be like, well, that's obvious. But for me, it took me a long time to realize this. Hell is our subconscious. Our unconscious is unconscious. That I have clients that have been in hell for a long time because they were in such despair and agony that there is no other place, there is no other word that can summarize what it feels like to experience what they experience, to be locked down in basements for days, to be without food, to be going from foster home to foster home, to be sexually abused, physically abused by parents and siblings. This is hell. That is complete agony. That is hell. We are being tortured. Besides a plane of existence that is outside of us, we also have that plane of existence within us when we are constantly in a place of agony, a place of pain and torture. That is the first plane. So what is the second plane? The Asura. Asura. I love that name too. Asura, the demon realm. I mean, even the name's just a little bit of seductive, right? It is that realm of desires, of when we want something, we desire something so badly that when we don't have it, we can get angry and enraged, and that we can become arrogant, pride. That is the demon realm. What is the demon realm? You can look it up in the ancient Indian scriptures and history, and the Greeks, right? They also have this, what is it that they call it? I forget what they call it. The Greek mythology, even Indo-European, right? Where they're talking about the great war between titans and gods and the rulers of this plane, of this realm, and of this 3D reality, the gods that defeated the titans, right? And even in 21 divisions, Ogunbalinjo comes from the Mount Olive, right? Is that the name in English? Even the Africans, right? So we are taking the collective consciousness information about the demon realm. This realm is composed of desires, the violence, the arrogance, the anger within us, the hunger. The demons are hungry for what? They want to fight. They have desires, that they want things that they cannot have. So what are the desires that brings pain, arrogance, pride, violence, anger, rage to you? That hunger that cannot be filled, that makes you go in rage. That is the demon realm within us. And normally the anger, the arrogance, the false pride, the things that we desire, where are they? They are in the sacral. The things that makes us feel guilt for feeling anger, for feeling that we desire. You may find a lot of this, if your sacral is not in balance, you may find a lot of this sense of hunger, and sometimes you don't even know why you're hungry, but you know that you have a big sense of being angry, but you don't know why you're angry. You might be transmuting energy through the collective consciousness, ancestor consciousness of having these open wounds within you, because we carry all of that through the genes. So the collective consciousness of the planet and the ancestors that experienced this anger when they couldn't fight for themselves, when they were being tortured but they couldn't speak up, when they wanted freedom but couldn't get freedom, and they knew they had to keep going for whatever reason, because they had a sense of there has to be more than this. So without them, we couldn't be here, right? Ancestors that were enslaved, not only the Black ones or the natives, but all of us at one point throughout the history of the planet, we have been enslaved by someone, by something, by material things, or by people, right? So what is the hunger, the anger, the rage, the arrogance, the pride that needs to be overcome within you in order for you to free yourself from the demon realm? Until we free ourselves, we cannot advance in our awakening process, in our evolution process. It's not a linear, it goes in waves, but we really have to conquer and understand what is it that makes us go in rage. And sometimes we have repressed anger that we don't even know we have. And when we start coming out, it's like, whoa, I didn't know I had all of this in me. Give yourself permission to express in a healthy way the rage, the anger, the arrogance. Get healing them. Okay, you're healing them. I think I'm going to create a little song about that. We need to get our healing done. It is crucial for us to bring up the repressed anger, because we all have it. It is just, are we giving ourselves permission to experience that anger, to express that anger in a healthy way? If we don't get there, we're not going to be able to advance, because it is repressed. It is creating tension in our body. It is creating a false sense of identity. It is creating parts of us that makes us afraid of us. It is part of the shadow work that we need to do. And we really have to get to the point where we can overcome the arrogance, the anger, the violence, the rage within us. The more power that you have, the more anger you may experience if you haven't worked through this, because it needs to be addressed. So the asuras help us really understand some of the power, because this rage comes with a lot of strength. When we transmute that rage and anger and violence, it is pure determination, so that we can do things that many people may think is impossible. Can you imagine who you can be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, even 1 year from now, even 6 months from now, when you start taking your healing journey seriously and you transmute the rage, the anger within you into determination, because you free yourself from that, from the chains of the arrogance, the rage, the violence, and you transmute that into pure determination to achieve the impossible, to achieve what you never thought you could, to become truly a divine being. I mean, you already are, but you are going to be able to embrace that within you, is what I'm saying. Now, when we get into the third plane, the animal plane, this is crucial. Our natural, we naturally have, I believe, we naturally have an animalistic instinct within us, a human animalistic instinct. It's not an animal. It is an animal within us. The animal form within us, that it is not an animal, but it reacts and behaves like an animal. When you feel like fear, when you feel like something can happen and the amygdala is firing up and you feel threatened and you have to respond and you have to either fight, or freeze. When you're fighting, that animal is coming out. That animal instinct comes out. So what is the animal that comes out in you? The animal realm. Let me go back 1 second. The subconscious that I talk about, the health realm, the niraya, that realm in the mind, in the subconscious and unconscious, right, has agony, is being tortured because we perceive that we are helpless. I've been there. I know what it feels like to be powerless, to be helpless, hopeless. There is no way out. Complete despair, complete agony. Then we go into the hunger realm, the demon realm, where we get angry because we like, oh my God, there has to be something that I need to do to free myself, to have what I want, right? And then we come to the animal realm, where we embrace that animal within us when we feel threatened. Is it a little worm that needs to protect itself by retrieving or freezing, looking like it's dead? Which animal looks like it's dead when it's trying to pretend that when it feels threatened? Think about that animal. And which animal is going to fight? It's going to attack. It's going to be like a switch. Within 2 seconds, you switch to another person and you become that lion, that wolf, the panda, whatever animal you feel like comes out. You got to identify that animal within you, because that animal has a lot to teach you. I'm not talking about a spirit animal that guides you through the different realms, that gives you intuition and knowledge. And I'm talking about the animalistic animal within you, the animal that comes out when you, let's say somebody scares you out of nowhere, and at that moment you don't know if it's real or if it's a joke or whatever, so your body responds naturally. That moment, that animal that comes out has a lot to teach you about who you are, some of the things that you need to work through to release, because that animal that comes out really fast comes out even when nothing is happening, but you perceive something bad is happening. When something happened in a past experience that made you stay in a loop and you were feeling threatened, you were feeling that something was wrong, there is fear, there is pain, there is all of these past open wounds that are still active, that animal comes out. If you have done your healing work, that animal is going to have less power because you're working on really balancing that within you. Wisdom, when we connect to that realm within us, the animal within us, because we can see clearly, wow, I really come out as a lion, as a lioness, as a scorpion, as a whatever animal you're identifying with, as a dragon, as a deer, as a, what is, I always come out as poor me. So I might be like a little tiny deer trying to hide away when I see the lion, or, I try to be so submissive that I feel like I'm just a little butterfly flapping around my little wings and going from flower to flower, because even identifying with a part of you that is enraged, that gets angry, or because you're not the abuser, you are the victim, right? So depending where you are within the victim triangle, you might see a different animal. When you are the victim, what animal comes out? When you're the aggressor, what animal comes out? When you are the observer and you just seeing another person hurt somebody else that you love, or that you don't even know, it doesn't have to be somebody that you love, what animal comes out? I'm just observing. But when I'm an abuser, I attack. And when I feel like a victim and I want to make sure the other person feels like I am a victim, and I want to make it obvious, this is the animal that comes out. So I'm not saying that you only have one animal. We can have multiple animals that come out depending on the situation. And when you go through that process, you really can get a lot of answers for yourself. So throughout life, we're going to connect with different parts of us. So the animals that comes within us when we are the abuser, the aggressor, the observer, are going to give us clues about what we need to heal, are going to help you understand where in your life you feel inferior or superior. And superior or inferior, not a good thing. We need to be neutral when it comes to understanding that we are all divine beings. So inferior, superior, not good things. So that animal is going to give us so much wisdom about who we are. When we identify with that animal, we can see the parts of ourselves that are wounded, that are in fear. The animal realm is about fear. Now, when we move on to, I'm going to continue with the fourth round because my computer shut off, so I'm not sure which part I stopped on. The ghost realm is the realm of the ancestors. In a lot of different traditional practices, is the ancestral realm. Is going to be what we know as ancestral venerance, really giving the ancestral cult, giving and praying and giving offerings and so on. These are very ancient traditions throughout the whole planet where ancestors are venerated and given specific offerings and prayers in order for them to continue their healing process in the spirit realm. So the ancestrals, when we don't feel them, when we don't honor them, when we don't respect them, when we don't connect with them, sometimes, especially if you have a strong affinity with them, and there is work that needs to be done with them, and they're part of your spirit team, a way that is a work collaboration, you may feel that a lot of things are going wrong because you're not really respecting the ancestrals. You're not really understanding that maybe a lot of previous ancestors turned their back on their ancestors and that you're supposed to repair that damage. So you really need to do a lot of work on yourself and reestablish that connection with the ancestors, because the fourth realm, which is the ghost realm, the ancestral realm, the spirit realm, there is a lot of healing opportunity here. But when you don't pay attention to it, you may take a few steps back and be back in the desires, in the anger, in the rage, because you're not understanding that the ancestral are key for your healing process. Maybe you feel like you don't need them, or you feel enraged because they're not there, because you need to do some work with the ancestral. So you might have a lot of ancestral healing to do. So when you start working with your heart chakra, a lot of connection to the ancestor are going to pop up so that you can start developing that connection at a very intimate level. This is a realm that is very sacred, but it can turn you if you don't pay attention to yourself and you don't do a lot of your healing work. And eventually you start bringing light into that shadow aspect of who you are, who you have been, and who your ancestors have been. All of the collective and ancestral energy is stored in parts of your shadow aspect. So what do you need to birth when you start working with your ancestor and your shadow aspect is going to be key here to work through overcoming the walking in the realm of the hungry ghost, the spirit realm, the ancestral realm. There is a sense of punishment here when you're not in alignment with the ancestors. You're going to feel like it's almost like the universe is punishing you. Yeah, maybe your ancestors are punishing you. And maybe it's not you, it's just the collective energy of the ancestral that is coming up with a sense of punishment for what they have done in the past. So it's not necessarily that you did something bad, but it could be you in past life as well. So there is a lot of past life, this life, ancestral healing, thousands of years healing, collective healing, and so on. So there is a lot of karmic wounds here, especially if you're not in alignment with your ancestral and the birth of this is very much a very feminine energy, to be honest, because to walk in the ancestral realm, to walk with the ghosts, to be in those realms, you have to be in the right brain, in the right feminine energy that is very mysterious, is in the darkness, and it can bring the rebirth, which is feminine energy. So you have to awaken the feminine energy within you, the divine feminine, the intuitive energy, the part that can be in communication with ancestral, and open up the heart so that you can be in communion and heal the ancestral wound and heal your past wounds, parents and sibling wounds and kids wound, and so on. So there is a lot of suffering here, a lot of punishment. When you start healing that, you're going to go into, instead of punishment, it's going to come with a sense of, whoa, this is so beautiful here. There is so much goodness here. There is so much openness and generosity and celestial feeling, sacredness feeling. We heal the broken spirit, because that's basically what it is, right? Like that is the true shadow work. When we go into the human realm, the fifth one, and this one is, the human realm, right? So accept all the natural abilities that we come with to connect us to who we truly are. Why we need to connect to who we truly are? Because we are here to liberate all of this of who we are, all the cells of who we are, all that we are, encapsulating this body that is ourself from many different experiences, past life, other life, spirit realm, this life, ancestral, planetary consciousness, and so on, universal consciousness, all encapsulated in this body. And we are transmuting the darkness into the light, because that's part of the role that we play here. So how do we transmute that? Is by liberating the fact that we are not just this body. We are beyond this body. We are energy. We are spiritual beings. We are light. So when we start shifting the shadow aspect, we start transmuting all of who we are, all of our family lines. 20 generations is like what? 20,000 or a million ancestors. I don't know how many. Don't quote me, just Google it. How many, just 20 generations back, how many ancestors is that? How many people with wounds and gifts, putting all of that data into a computer that then becomes you. All the chromosomes get passed down. Eventually you are you. You cannot be you without your father and your mother, and they cannot be there without their parents. So all of these ancestors collectively have been putting data that we then make real in this body by becoming born. So we are here to transmute ancestral, ourself, our collective, is all of it. It's not just about us, but we need to start with us, because when we start with the outside, we never take responsibility for ourselves, which is why I always and then eventually we get to the ancestral and the collective healing. It's a process. We don't want to jump, in my opinion. When we go into the sixth realm, the realm of the lowest of the highest realm, they attribute the sixth realm to having something to do with the wisdom and the knowledge of the gods or the devas. The devas that are gods, goddesses, the heaven realm, these beings that surface on the earth and inhabited different areas, right? And then these great kings became guardians of these different realms, right? So these kings that became guardians are guarding what? They're guarding the realm of the gods. And when the gods came, they came to the different mountains. What is in the mountain is nature. What is in the mountain is the trees. And remember, in ancient myth and so on, we have these huge trees, the trees of knowledge, the trees of wisdom, and so on. So these guardians that are within us, right? In order for us to go and receive access to the pineal gland, we have to go through the back of the spine, all of that energy, the Kundalini needs to come up. There is a guardian right here. That's my opinion. Let this be known. This is my opinion. This guardian here, the Alta Major chakra, is the guardian of the realm of the day of the gods. This is the guardian of the realms of the gods. Why I'm saying this is because if we don't allow the energy to flow up, to open up and connect to the pineal gland where heaven is, we don't have access to wisdom, to see beyond the illusion, to eat from the fruit of knowledge, of infinity. So this ancient temple that gives access to the crown, the pineal gland, where the soul sits, is being guarded. And is guarded by these guardians that are considered kings in the Buddha's, the Tibetan Buddhist history here, that the different planes of existence, the realm of the kings, right? Realms open up, we have access to the seventh realm, the realms of the 33 gods. That just left me thinking, there is something else here for me. Anyways, when we get to that realm of the seventh realm of the gods, we can then transmute everything that needed to be transmuted to allow the shadow to come back into unity with the light. When we get to the realm of the destroyer, it reminds me of Shiva, like the destroyer realm is really just transmuting everything that needed to be transmuted for the family line. And that's what we're here for. We are the warriors of light, destroying the pain and changing the pain into joy and bliss and happiness and acceptance and like unity and connection. Is so beautiful. So we're not destroying no one. We are destroying the energy of the darkness within us, the pain, the suffering, into bliss, into happiness, into deep connection with ourselves and others. It's beautiful. So I hope you got something out of this. We talked about the Niraya, Asura. We talked about the animal realm. We talked about the hungry ghost, the ancestral realm. We talked about the human realm. We talked about the guardians realm, the king's realm, in order for us to get to the seventh realm, the pineal gland, and the eighth realm, in order for us to destroy and transmute everything, and we can be free. Hope you got something away from today's conversation. If you like this definitely like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.